on the N1 and authorities' state of readiness. Now I'm joined by Stephen Matjena, head of the Limpopo Department of Transport and Community Safety. Stephen, thanks for your time and a happy new year to you. Now, just walk us through those numbers that you talk about. There's been an increase in SAPS numbers and other officials on that corridor. What sort of numbers are we speaking about?
In terms of visibility, Hugo, let me indicate that we have anticipated this high volume because of our planning, because of our data analysis. So over and above the 100 traffic officers that we have from NTP, we do have our own from the Department of Transport and Community Safety. Right now, going forward the whole day, we're going to have more than 100 that we're going to be deploying. Actually, we've already deployed them in critical areas in terms of the data that we have, areas that have a potential of giving us problems in terms of accidents. We've deployed them. They are visible, they are with blue light, and they are in the main guiding traffic, monitoring the traffic flow, and that is actually our main focus now.
Stephen, you highlight some of these problem areas, which obviously are your choke points. Which are these areas and what likely problems do they normally give?
If you look at the N1 corridor on its own, areas where you have got a mountainous areas where it's an incline or decline, we do have challenges where if it's a decline, reckless driving and high speeding is something that we are dealing with on a daily basis. But if it's an incline, you find the problem with trucks that are really struggling to move up the hills and motorists becoming impatient. You see reckless driving, overtaking where it's not necessary. Those are the areas where we normally would record accidents, and then our visibility is heightened in those areas. You normally would see officers vigilant with blue light, just trying to make sure that motorists are able to travel without challenges.
Stephen, we often speak about how travellers seem to pick up the phone and say to each other, let's go. So what happens is you have a huge influx of travellers. Let's talk about the volumes and the peak windows. What sort of timelines are you expecting, almost a huge rush of motorists over the next couple of days?
According to our analysis of the data, obviously looking at the previous years, starting from today, midday, all the way up until in the evening, you're looking at tomorrow is going to be worse as expected. But motorists are normally, they operate in another way. Sometimes you expect them on a Sunday, they're there on a Saturday. So from today to tomorrow to Monday morning, we are going to be visible. We are going to make sure that we, in other areas, would then stop at filling stations. We talk to them, just try and encourage them to really take constant stops to rest so that they are not caught by fatigue. But we do know that from today on, from morning, our roads are expected to be having or experiencing high traffic volumes. That is why we collaborate a lot with other agencies like your Sandral. When you're going to see that queues are quite longer, Sandral is able to come through for us and assist us in terms of ensuring that they don't do a stop and go on our toll gates.
Now, the one thing that's almost inevitable is that there are accidents, unfortunately, along the way, and hopefully none of those are fatal. But what are your response times in terms of if there is an accident and there is a need to clear debris or certainly move vehicles that might be blocking traffic on the N1?
Yes, we do not have a standard in terms of the response time. For us, it's immediately because we are working with the Department of Health. We're working with SAPS in terms of the response, the EMS from health. They are readily available because we're trying to have traffic officers every 10 to 15 kilometers in terms of the distance in between. Our response is going to be as good as immediately. That's what we're actually trying to do. But we hope that the more the traffic flows and it's not going to be at a high speed, there won't be a lot of accidents.
Are you at all monitoring traffic coming out from the Bridge border post? Because that obviously has implications on traffic flows.
We do. Through our collaboration with BMA, we then engage with them quite a lot. When traffic moves out of the the border post, being at Bed Bridge or Groblersdal Bridge coming from Botswana, we then are able to take it over, monitor it throughout, inspect the trucks and buses, especially these heavy motor vehicles. We've got our inspection areas where we check for overloading, we check for roadworthiness, and of course, if they've got the right documentations to be able to deal with many other issues. So we then are able to monitor all this traffic in the entire corridors for as long as we're in the province.
And finally, Stephen, before we let you go, any words you'd like to share with those that are travelling by bus, public transport, the truckers that we see on the roads, and obviously those that are in private vehicles?
Of course, I think the message from the department and from the province is that please don't drive high speed, because then you're going to have problems. Take constant rest, because long distances themselves, we're saying a fatigued driver is as good as or as bad as a drunk driver. So take constant rest so that you are able to ensure that you arrive where you're going. Speeding also, we're saying don't text and drive also. If you're drunk, we don't even expect that you can be drunk and take up a long distance. And for heavy motor vehicles, we're saying let them be roadworthy, and do not, especially for public transport, do not overload them, because you are ferrying passengers in large numbers. Any mistake, we're all going to cry. So we wish that they will arrive where they're going safely without challenges.